Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your master of fun and wonder, your sommelier, not of sci-fi, but of cinema. Your sommelier of cinema and your existential Mr. Rogers, and I'm here tonight with my compatriot, my cohort, the host of this show,
Elizabeth Bell.
Elizabeth Gwendolyn Bell.
Elizabeth Gwendolyn Bell.
And what are we here for tonight?
So, you made me watch a movie.
No. You have to, and the show, you got to introduce the show.
Oh,
this
right.
is Elizabeth's. It's your show.
Yes, Elizabeth's whining about movies.
That's correct. And what is the mandate? What is our mission statement?
We drink wine and talk about movies.
That's exactly right. That was well said. That was well spoken. I appreciate you saying that. And
yes,
we went and got some wine today. Did we not?
We did.
And
we did.
I can't even say this. We got a lovely drop. It looks to be a lovely drop. We don't know if it's a lovely drop. First of all, I should say that this show is not sponsored by any wine companies, although we're open to that.
Yes, we are.
We did get this at Trader Joe's today. You can't get mayonnaise at Trader Joe's, but you can get... No mayonnaise. No, barely nothing was at Trader Joe's.
Yeah, a lot of empty shelves.
So we got a rosé. Not, kind of a frou-frou wine. I'm not...
I have to say, Rob chose this wine. He loves rosé.
I don't love rosé. I mean, I like rosé. It's fine. But it seems like it's one step up from White Zinfandel.
Because it has a pretty bottle, see?
That's pretty much true. I'm a sucker for this French...
I walked up to him and he said, how about this one? It's got an interesting bottle.
It's true. It's true. Now, what is this pronounced the...
Okay, I will only say this in French because it's the title of this.
Right.
It's the name of this wine. Otherwise, I will not speak French until
30,000 subscribers.
30,000 subscribers.
Yes.
So this is Fleur de Prairie, which means flowers of the prairie.
Can you say it one more time? Say it like you'd say it in conversation.
Fleur de Prairie.
All right.
And it is from Provence.
Well, shall we try this?
Yes, we
Here,
shall.
hand me your glass. This is our nice little drop. Tell me, since you said I poured too much, is that too much? So we can keep pouring. I mean, I figure just... Hold on. We've let this breathe. So, cheers. And what movie are we cheersing to tonight?
Yes, it's Withnail and me.
Withnail and I.
And I.
Well, I guess you're trying to say it properly. I get it. Withnail and I.
Sorry.
Withnail and I is
Withnail and I.
Bruce Robinson's feature film debut from 1986, starring, of course, Paul McGann, who you Doctor Who fans would know as the Doctor from the Fox television version of Doctor Who in the mid-90s, and of course one of my favorite actors of all time, Mr. Richard E. Grant, in a star-making turn, his first lead role. He doesn't get enough lead roles, but of course he was nominated for an Academy Award 2 years ago. The man is incredible, and if there was ever a star-making turn in motion picture history, let me tell you, his role, Richard E. Grant's role as Withnail, as they say, Withnail, is one of the great roles of all time, I think. So why don't we drink to Withnail and I? Cheers.
Cheers.
What do you think?
Very nice.
I think it's a very nice drop.
With a rosé, you could go either way. It could be really super sweet and
no, this is not super
good,
sweet.
But this is very nice.
So now I've switched cameras. Now, one of the interesting things about Withnail and I, I'll give you a little bit of background. That is the great Ralph Steadman. And if you know Ralph Steadman, I should show this to you as an artist. Ralph Steadman, of course, is, I think, tied to Hunter S. Thompson for doing a lot of artwork for Fear and Loathing. He obviously worked on this film. Bruce Robinson had never made a film before he made this, and this film is actually based on his real-life experiences in Camden, London in 1989 with all of his friends. He explained in a documentary that was made about the film that basically they lived in this house where there was a bunch of artists and actors, out-of-work actors, and people in 1969 London that basically just came and hung out. So it was all based on people that he knew and people that he hung out with. And Withnail was actually based on a real person that he knew that apparently, I guess, had passed away. Now, the thing about this movie is this film is revered in the UK. Anybody you know in Britain knows this movie. This is not a movie that is known very well outside the United States. I find this movie hilarious. I think every line of this movie is essentially quotable. I think it's one of the most... It's a movie about friendship.
Quotable if you can even understand what's being said.
Okay, well, then, I've tried to show this movie to many people over the years, many Americans, and they have not thought it is as funny as I do. I tried to show it to my friend Sean Fanning. He hated it. And I decided to show it to you. Now, had you heard of this movie before?
I've heard you mention the title.
Right.
But I didn't know anything about it. And I love British comedy. Like, there's so many good British comedies that I
Yes,
really
this is one of them.
Appreciate. I had a hard time connecting with this one.
All right, so let's talk about that. Why did you have a hard time connecting with Withnail and I?
I just kept waiting and waiting for something to happen. And I love slice of life kind of movies, but this was just like, there was nothing happening, and then nothing happening, and then nothing happening. Until I chuckled once when they finally got to the cottage and the uncle, I think it's an uncle.
Uncle Monty.
The uncle shows up. Like, I chuckled once.
Well, why don't you explain, what is this movie about?
So it's these young guys that live in an apartment, and it's typical, like, out of college bachelors, and their place is a mess, and the sink is overflowing with dirty dishes, and, like, typical what you would think of a guy's bachelor pad.
It was a little too messy.
It was very gross. Then you've got one guy who's like, seems like a spoiled richer guy who came from a very wealthy family. And then you have the guy who's like the middle class or lower middle class.
The sensitive writer.
Yeah.
The eye of the title, the Paul McGann
he's
character.
He's got some anxieties, and I could relate to that. And yeah, so it's just them struggling along, and then they decide to go on vacation and...
on holiday
by accident. That was the best line, actually. I loved that line. So they go to the uncle's cottage, and it's just, very British kind of humor, which I normally love, but like I just didn't laugh very much.
But I was laughing a lot.
Yeah, and I kept looking at you, and you were like chuckling the whole time, and I was like, am I missing something? And there were moments where I was like, why are you laughing? Why is that funny? And then there were times like I didn't understand the dialogue, and I would be like, what did they say?
It is pretty, admittedly, the accents are pretty thick. Now, I should say that the Richard E. Grant character is like many young actors. He has a very overinflated sense of self. Mm-hmm. And the way he talks about himself and his career, he feels very entitled, and everything that comes out of his mouth is hilarious. And one of the more hilarious characters is they have a friend who basically is a drug dealer, this hippie from another world, who is also sort of this philosopher at the same time.
Yeah, and I loved his character, but I just couldn't understand what he was saying. And I wanted to, like, laugh because he was such a funny character, but I just couldn't understand.
See, to me, this is the Quentin Tarantino. They often talk about the Hangout film. This is a Hangout movie. It's basically these two guys in the midst of various kinds of existential crises. They can't get jobs. They deserve more. Paul McGann wants to be a writer. He has his voiceover. He's a very sort of an insecure guy, and he sort of follows around Withnail, who has this inflated sense of self, and they basically drink. It's a movie where basically all they do is drink
and do drugs.
They don't really. They do. They don't.
At the end.
Well, yes, at the end, but for the most part, they drink, and whenever they get any money, they go drink, and I really appreciate that because I enjoy that about their characters, and so if we don't have the kind of drinking culture certain cities do. I guess Boston, Chicago, New York, maybe New Orleans. But the drinking culture, this is as much about British drinking culture. It's about pubs, it's about ales, it's about wines, it's about teas and cakes even.
Yeah, but it's also about a certain age group. I mean, they were like young, just starting out, and I think that goes along with a lot of, especially in the late 60s, like a lot of drinking and a lot of drugs and things like that. So,
which the filmmakers talked about.
Right.
In the documentary, there was a lot of drinking and drugging going on in Bruce Robinson's life. And what was really interesting about what Bruce Robinson said in this documentary is he knew nothing about how to make a film. He wrote the script himself, based on real people, as sort of a Romana Clef on his life. And these are movies I like. I guess in a way, Free Enterprise was definitely influenced, at least for me, by Withnail and I. And I just find this movie to be hilarious because I always talk about verisimilitude. I think this movie has peak verisimilitude. I believe every frame in it. There's nothing in it. It's not slapsticky. It's just you're watching these two guys and you're hanging out with them and going places and watching them drink. But there's something about them that I really like. I really like these guys, as crazy as they are. And then they go... Withnail has this wealthy Uncle Monty who is a raging homosexual who takes an instant liking to Paul McGann's character, and Withnail has basically offered his friend up for buggering. And although he doesn't know that, but Uncle Monty is constantly trying to get into Paul McGann's pants or his ass, whatever he wants to get into, but he wants to get in there, which causes a lot of friction, not the kind of friction he wants, but friction between Paul McGann and Withnail. And
yeah, but what kind of friend does that? Like, seriously.
Well, he needed money. He was a utilitarian friend. He look, they needed Monty's money. They needed his cabin. They needed to go into the country. And I think that, and that's the thing, Withnail is willing to sacrifice to, not sacrifice himself, but sacrifice other people to get what they need.
Yeah, he definitely played the role really, really well, I have to say.
I don't think I've ever seen an actor.
No, he was that person. He was Withnail, for sure.
Now, another thing that you need to know when you watch this movie is Richard E. Grant is allergic to alcohol. He is a teetotaler.
What does that even mean?
He can't drink alcohol.
Well, what happens to him if he does? Because they did get him drunk one night.
They did get him drunk. They got him drunk before the movie was made, and they got him drunk. But I don't think that there's ever... Look, I love Arthur. I love Dudley Moore and Arthur, 1981's Arthur. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. I love Arthur. But he plays he's a great drunk in that movie, but it's almost a caricature of a drunk. Whereas Richard E. Grant, peak verisimilitude. The man, first of all, the guy has one of the great film faces. He went on soon after this movie. He played a villain in Hudson Hawk. He was amazing. He was later in Robert Altman's The Player, where he said one of my favorite lines in any movie, which is, "That's life. That's reality." I tweet to Richard E. Grant. He's liked my tweets. He's never tweeted back to me, but I always hashtag "That's life, that's reality," so he knows that I know. But Richard E. Grant has had an incredible career. We just saw him as General Pride or Admiral Pride, was it General Pride in The Rise of Skywalker. As far as I'm concerned, they should have just made the whole movie about him, but there you go. So you liked his performance.
I love him. He's a great, great actor. I really appreciated his performance. Yeah. And,
it's funny because in real life, apparently, Richard E. Grant has his own line of perfume. And or cologne, men's cologne, I think. And I've heard people say how great he smells. And you know how much I like my colognes.
Yeah, for sure.
On my Tom Ford colognes. I desperately want to try his cologne. I don't know anything about it, but I can only imagine. But he plays such a scuzzy guy. And you just think that they just probably don't smell good, the two of these dudes.
Oh, yeah. Just looking at their apartment. Oh.
Yeah, it's bad. And they do things that, not...
Yeah.
Not a lot of manscaping there. We talked about manscaping. I'm a manscaper, and I just, yeah.
Well, they were young, and they were just starting out, so it's actually very tragic. I think it's like a sad story set within a comedy.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Because it's like about a friendship coming to an end.
Yeah, because one succeeds and the other doesn't, so...
and it is kind of in a way, it's sort of a romantic tragedy.
Yeah.
The two characters have a romantic friendship.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, they do love each other, clearly.
Yeah, they do.
They love each other. They respect each other as friends. So it is a story about friendship and brotherhood as well. And but you were not digging it when you were watching it. I had to give you a little bit more context. I made her watch the documentary right afterwards.
Yeah.
We talked
that
about
helped.
But you weren't liking it.
No, because I kept waiting for something to happen, and then I couldn't even understand half the dialogue. And I love British comedies. I love, for example, I love Death at a Funeral. Super hilarious, very British, very funny. And this was not like that. I just could not connect with the humor. I grew up watching Benny Hill.
But that's more sketch comedy.
It's true. But I don't know. I just kept waiting. And there were funny moments, but not really.
Well, it's interesting when you watch the documentary that actually is included on this Blu-ray. I'll tell you something about this Blu-ray that's pretty interesting. When I started getting Blu-rays, obviously there are 3 different Blu-ray regions A, B, and C. And there was a website that would say what European discs were released that were region-free. It was before I had a region-free Blu-ray player. And Withnail and I was one of the earliest Blu-rays that they were released in Britain that was region-free. So they've released it subsequent to this, but this is the first British Blu-ray of Withnail and I loved it. It was one of the first Blu-rays within the first year, I think, that I had a Blu-ray player, 2007, 2008. And I was able to get this Blu-ray, and I just love it. So we got to watch it.
Yeah, and also, you were drinking gin and I wasn't. And so it's I feel like you were laughing and
But I didn't have very much gin.
I was like, maybe I should be drinking right now. Maybe I'd get it more.
Well, this movie, like Leaving Las Vegas, just makes me want to drink. I know Nicolas Cage is trying to drink himself to death in that movie, but this movie, I think, requires... you should literally have bottles of wine and gin, a few ales, and cider.
Yeah, that probably helped.
And cider. So it's one of the great drinking movies of all time. Unapologetic. So what else did you think about, how did you feel about how the movie felt? Did it feel real to you?
Yeah, I mean, after I watched the documentary, I could get that it could be based on real people. I could feel that, yeah. I mean, yeah, totally. 2 guys setting out in the world and just starting out, and yeah.
But you didn't like it when you were watching it.
I didn't, especially the first part. I just kept waiting for something to happen. And I even said to you, is anything going to happen? What's happening?
And what did I tell you?
And you're like, I don't know what you told me. I don't remember.
I said, well, sort of.
Sort of, right. I was like, is there anything else? Is it just this? And you're like, it's kind of more the same.
But I think that sometimes, look, one of the things I talk about that's really hard to make in movies is to create a reality within the proscenium. Proscenium is a stage thing, but I talk about the proscenium of the frame. And I think that this movie creates a reality that is absolutely believable. I mean, everything about it. The fact that maybe it was because Bruce Robinson hadn't made a film before, but he's not trying to set the world on fire with his style. He allows the mise en scène. He allows how do you say mise en scène in French properly? Mise en scène?
Yeah, you're fine.
Mise en scène. So the frame itself, I believe everything in it utterly. Even the set design, the gross sink. I mean, it looks like a real gross sink, not a gross sink in a movie. It looks like they went into these really real locations and shot there, and that isn't actually true. One of the places they go when there's a very famous scene. We want your finest wines. We want them here, and we want them now.
Right.
That was not in an actual tea. They go to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that
it looks like a real.
It was not. It was not. And the movie has, I think, peak verisimilitude, and I just love it because I believe in it utterly.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it could be.
I mean, even down to there's crazy things in this movie. This wrecked Jaguar that apparently Withnail got because he was from a wealthy family or something, but it's in such disrepair. It's missing a headlight. It's never been cleaned. It's never been painted. It's just, I love the fact that he has a Jaguar. Like, why does he have a Jaguar?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a rich, spoiled.
But living in squalor.
Right, because he's moved on from his family and now he's like living with his friend and he's trying to make it in the world. He's trying to be an actor and he's obviously like mediocre. But his friend is actually a very talented actor and gets a job. That's the tragic part, is like it's like kind of sad. It's kind of a sad story.
One of the things that always gets me in this movie is at the end when Paul McGann, when I cuts his hair.
Right.
He gets his haircut and you realize that haircut.
Wow, he's grown up.
Yeah, that haircut symbolizes so
Yes.
much. And you're like, when I get sad. That's when I the feels coming. I'm like, oh, here, he's gonna leave his friend.
On. Mm-hmm.
He's moving on. I mean, I love that moment. It's such a subtle thing, really, but it works. It works.
And he's Withnail is kind of desperate to like keep him around. He's like, let's drink this before you go.
Right.
And he even follows him with the bottle of wine.
I'll take the bottle with me.
It's a little sad.
It's a lot sad.
Yeah.
It's a lot sad. I mean, I've always wondered, this to me is such a star-making performance. I mean, I always talk about Richard E. Grant and everything, but to me, there are few performances ever in a movie that are as good as the performance he gives in this film. And yet, he's never really been... He's not on everyone's lips. He's not an actor. People know him when they see him, but he's been mostly a character actor in his life. And I've always thought that he's one of our great actors. And I've often wondered what would happen if history unfurled a little differently and he was given more lead roles. And you found him appealing, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I mean, he's just so much fun to watch and listen.
Yeah.
With his face and his gestures and everything that he does. I mean, the guy is fearless.
Yeah.
In this performance, it's one of the most... he has no self-consciousness about what he's doing. And it's great to see in Melissa McCarthy. Can You Ever Forgive Me?
He was so good in that movie.
So good in that movie.
Was he nominated for an Oscar?
Yes, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
But
he didn't win.
Oh, he was so good.
He was so good, and there is a little bit of Withnail in that performance.
I see that definitely.
I mean, I could believe in a way that it's a sequel, and almost you're meeting him 30 years later or 35 years later, kind of. I mean,
I could see that.
I don't think Withnail is gay, but maybe he is. I mean, I don't know. But his character is. Can You Ever Forgive Me? But he's so good. He's such a great,
really good,
a great actor. So you did enjoy watching him.
I loved him. He's fantastic.
Now, did you ever like? Okay, so what they basically do in this movie is all they want to do is get out of their flat. They go to their homosexual Uncle Monty. Richard E. Grant, Withnail dangles his friend in front of his homosexual uncle to get the key to come, and they go into the countryside to stay at this decrepit cabin. It's muddy. It's
that cabin didn't seem decrepit. Like, I would love to vacation in that cabin.
Well, it was a little dusty and dirty.
Okay, but very...
It didn't have central heating. It looked like it was from the 19th century and nobody had ever upgraded it.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
Which is very cool.
Yeah, and they can't find anything to eat.
No, right.
And food. I mean, there's just funny stuff that happens.
Yeah.
As the movie continues along. So, like, if you were to tell somebody, like, would you have your mom watch this movie?
Oh, my mom wouldn't like this movie. She would not like this movie.
At all.
Because she wouldn't be able to understand. First of all, like, already English is not her first language, and then trying to...
What is her first language?
French.
Like, what would something that she would say in French from this movie? I'm just kidding.
See what you're doing there.
I'm just kidding.
30,000 subscribers.
30,000 subscribers. Hey,
Maybe we should have her on at 30,000 subscribers.
Oh, yeah, we'll have your mom on. And only speak French.
I'll speak French
like
with her.
You guys will speak French together. Or maybe you guys, I don't have to be here. By the time we get to 30,000 subs, that could be in like 4 or 5 months.
Well, we can't do the whole show in French.
Why not?
No.
That'd be kind of cool.
No.
This is pretty good wine. It's opening up.
I actually really like this wine.
Would you like some more?
Yes, I would.
Allow me to pour you some more wine.
Thank you. You know, I was thinking maybe sometimes I could get to choose the movie that you haven't seen.
There's only one movie I haven't seen.
No, that's not true.
Well, maybe, but okay, that changes the premise of the show. But we could do that. That's fair
Well, we
play.
could do that every once in a while.
Okay, I'll grant you that. We could do that.
Cool. See, he agreed.
Okay, I'll drink to that.
Sound of music.
No, we're not. No. Okay, maybe I guess I'll have to do that. When she speaks French, I'll watch Sound of Music. That'll.
Okay, 50,000 subs, and
No, we're not even at 25,000 subs.
when we get to 30, I'll speak French.
Okay.
Okay, let's say 35.
No, I'll watch Sound of Music at. I'll watch Sound of Music at 30,000 subs, and you speak French, and we'll do a show.
But that's
The 30,000 sub show to celebrate it. So, you speak French, and I'll watch Sound of Music, and that'll be our movie.
that's two things that you're giving away at 30,000 subs.
It's fine. Somebody's got to get something for this channel. Speaking of which, there is people throwing in some chats. There was one earlier from Sam O'Neill. And hang on, I need to put on my glasses because it's too far away. Sam O'Neill says, you mentioned Age of Adeline on John's show today. That would be John Campia's
I love
show.
that movie.
Geez, I love that movie. I totally agree with everything you said. Blake just has this thing about her in this movie that just makes you fall in love with her character. I love a good romantic movie. For what Sam O'Neill is saying, that is correct. I love this movie, Age of Adeline, that stars Blake Lively. It also has Harrison Ford in it. And I think it's Kathy Baker. Yeah, Kathy Baker plays his wife. She's absolutely radiant in this film. The dresses alone, and it's sort of a time travel movie. Mm-hmm.
It is a time travel movie.
But there's no time travel in it. She just stops aging. But it's a great film. I'm glad you like it. Journey's End sent in a super chat and says, you guys need a theme song. We do.
Yes.
We will be working on that. I mean, I was going to use the Robservations theme song, but yeah, I know. It doesn't really... I don't, yeah, we need a theme song, Journey's Edge.
Yeah.
Movie Fanobi, Movie Fanobi, longtime viewer of the channel, sends in a tip and says, I'm happy, Rob, that your partner in crime is now also a part-time partner on cam. Social distancing is great and all, but sharing movies with someone special or cool needs less distance. As long as no symptoms, you guys enjoy yourselves. Steve. Well, Steve.
Well, thank you.
We'll drink to that. There's going to be social distancing happening because, man, it's crazy out there. And so, thank you for that. Journey's End sent in a super chat and said, it should be the original Star Trek theme, but with Rob singing the words, I'm drunk, over the melody, and need another drink. Wait, what was that? Something weird? No, I guess it's, I'm drunk and need another drink. Will you pour another glass of vino?
We should be recording
so
this.
We can get drunk. There you go. How about that? Now I'll do the rap version. I don't know if there's a rap version. So there you go. Roberto Suarez. Hello, Roberto. I like to pretend Grant's character in Can You Ever Forgive Me is the older version of his character in Withnail and I. Yes, we said that. I totally agree. He seems like that character.
Yeah, totally.
And maybe, there's actually a Richard E. Grant universe. I mean, theoretically, you could say that his producer character in The Player is Withnail, even though he's not, but I'd like to imagine he kind of is. That's Robert Altman's movie The Player, based on Michael Tolkien's book that I actually have right over there.
That you can't see.
So you can't see it. No, you can't. Well, you I could go get it, but yeah, if you haven't seen The Player, you should see The Player. So so tell me more, like with movies like this, when you're watching these Hangout movies, are there other Hangout movies? Did this remind you of another movie that you might like? Like, are there other films that you've seen?
Like cult?
Well, no, just
movies?
like movies of like, like I love Dazed and Confused. I think Dazed and Confused is a great. Malbrained sent in a super chat and says, I demand you both have some booze now. Well,
Yes.
here's to you, Malbrained.
Yes, we will.
Is that like Malbecked? So it's kind of like being, if you've had too much Malbec, you're being Malbec, but it's Malbrained.
This
That's
is
pretty
really good, honestly.
It is really good.
You guys should try this. This is so good. It's from Trader Joe's.
Well, we should actually put it up here. I'll let me go back to this shot so I can show it. Here's the label. It is from Trader Joe's. Let's get the label up there.
It's French, so it's really good.
And what's it called?
Fleur de Prairie.
Okay, there you go. There it is. It's a lovely drop. Yeah. So
Delicious.
it is delish. So let's see. So what other kind of movies like this? Not cult movies, but I think Dazed and Confused is kind of a hangout movie where not a lot happens. People just kind of hang out and you kind of follow slice of life movies.
Right.
Is there anything like that you like? Do you have slice of life movies that are favorites of yours?
I'm not good at remembering the name of movies.
You're not even good at remembering movies that you've ever seen. Why don't you tell the...
Oh, it's funny. Like, we'll be like 10 or 15 minutes into a movie, maybe sometimes more, and then I'm like, have I seen this before?
She doesn't remember anything. She remembers nothing. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm doing lines under my breath from a movie I might have seen 30 years ago. Don't I do that?
But it's not all movies like that. There are certain movies that stick with me.
Okay, what are some of those movies?
Well, are you asking about slice of life movies?
No, any movies. Like movies that... What are some movies that stick with you? Like, that you remember?
Well, so many.
Well, like, give the folks at home, what are some of your favorites? Just so people know, so people can gauge, so they understand your taste. We talked about how we bond on Amelie.
Amelie's one of my top movies. Boy, I should write these things down so that I have it ready.
Well, you know, I'm just... Look. Okay, here, Anthony Gonzalez is going to save you.
Well, thank you, Anthony.
Anthony Gonzalez says, he tips and he says, it's not a film, but has Elizabeth ever seen I, Claudius? By the way, one of my favorite things ever made, is the BBC series I, Claudius. To me, it's the godfather of TV. And by the way, Patrick Stewart is in I, Claudius. And I'll tell you a quick story since you brought up I, Claudius. I've told this story before. So I was on the set of X-Men 2 conducting DVD interviews, and it was the first time I had met Patrick Stewart. And I sort of have this thing that I do when I interview celebrities for DVDs. I like to open up the discussion to get them to realize that I'm not just like, tell me about your character. So I always tend to try and ask them something before I'm always like, before we start, let me talk to you about, and I have to bring up something that I particularly love or have an affinity for. So I'm sitting down with Patrick Stewart, and I said to him, I wasn't going to talk to him about Star Trek, right? I said to him, since you're asking, Anthony, I said, I have to tell you, before we start, I love I, Claudius. And you got to kill John Rhys Davies. Sejanus was great. And Patrick Stewart just he was like, oh. He talked about how much he loved I, Claudius. And when I said it was the godfather of television, what Godfather is to movies, I, Claudius is to TV. And he loved that. And he gestures over. And he brings over this very beautiful, very cool-looking mulatto woman. She's, mixed race. And Patrick Stewart's like, she did my hair and makeup on I, Claudius all those years ago. And I was like, okay, I was in after that. So I love I, Claudius. And Anthony Gonzalez says, also, Rob, if you show her Star Trek Nemesis on this show, I will unsubscribe. I swear it. Anthony, I will never show Elizabeth Star Trek Nemesis. I can promise you. Please don't unsubscribe. Evan Newman sends in a tip and says, do either of you enjoy Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Oh.
Watched it all the time as a kid. The child catcher freaked me out. Was interested to find out later it is sort of a James Bond adjacent, being based on a Fleming book and an Albert R. Broccoli production. For those of you who don't know, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang has a flying car. Have you seen it?
I have seen that.
And do you like it?
I do.
You like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Yes, I did. Yep. It's a Disney movie, right?
No.
Oh.
It is not a Disney movie. You might be thinking of The Love Bug.
No.
But it's like an old school...
I know that I've seen...
Yeah, no, it's you would have seen it.
Yes,
you would have seen it.
I totally
I had a Corgi. I had a Corgi car, the car from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But yes, Evan Newman is correct. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was actually produced by Albert Broccoli's company, and it was originally written by Ian Fleming. So you are correct. I really like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I wonder how it holds up though for kids today. Like I don't know how it hold up for kids today.
Yeah, I'd have to see it again. Who's in that?
I don't even remember. I'm thinking. I cannot. It's been so long since I've seen the movie. I don't remember who's in it. I want to say Rex Harrison, but it's not Rex Harrison. Is it? It's not Rex Harrison.
I just picture his face. I just can't think.
I know.
Of his name.
I know. It's on the tip of my tongue too, and I should know.
I see them in the car. That's like.
Yeah. Roberto Suarez sends in a tip and says, one of my favorite slice of life movies is Jim Jarmusch's Stranger Than Paradise. What a great film. Stranger Than Paradise, one of the, the beginning of the American independent new wave, as it were. I mean, when you had people like Steven Soderbergh, Jim Jarmusch, Spike Lee, I mean, really, it was there at the dawning of the new age of indie cinema in the late 80s. That would be a good movie for you to watch. Stranger Than Paradise. Yeah, that would be something.
I have not seen that. I don't know anything about it.
No, it's good. It's a good, it's a good movie. There's a lot of movies like, Richard Linklater, like I say, Slacker. Stranger Than Paradise and Slacker, his movie Slacker, would make a great, I think, double feature. But yeah.
Wasn't it Dick Van Dyke in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? That's why I thought it was a Disney movie. I feel like it's him, his face.
Well,
his face.
Let's see. We have this newfangled contraption called the internet, and let's just go and let's see exactly. Let's see. Dick Van Dyke was in Mary Poppins, of course.
Right.
Let's see. 1968 musical fantasy. You are correct, ma'am. Dick Van Dyke is in Chicago.
See, I can see his face.
And by the way, Gert Froba Goldfinger is in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. See, I should know this. What a great one sheet. That's pretty cool. And Benny Hill. Oh, and Erwin Costal did this. And you know what? I'll tell you something. It's really interesting. You know why you thought it was a Disney movie and why everybody thought it was a Disney movie? Because the Sherman Brothers did the music. Robert and Richard Sherman.
Besides that and Dick Van Dyke, it felt very Disney.
Yeah. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, The Magical Car from 1964. Wow. John Steers, the great John Steers, supervised the special effects. Wow. And the Sherman Brothers. Well, that's great. That's no wonder.
I don't remember Benny Hill in there.
Oh, pardon me. It's a 1968 musical, based on a 1964 book. Ian Fleming's book, The Magical Car, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, is in fact that was what it was. And the song Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which I remember singing as a kid, was nominated for an Academy Award. So, that's good. So back to Withnail and I, would you recommend this movie to friends of yours?
I would recommend it to certain friends.
Like Brian and Brienne. Like one of our friends is Brian Lawrenson, who is a KUSC DJ.
Yeah.
Would you recommend it to Brian? He's pretty cultured, erudite man, very smart guy. Do you think he would? Maybe Brienne wouldn't go for it, but what about Brian?
No, I mean I don't know if they're into the British stuff. Maybe. I mean, it would depend on the person.
But you're not sold on it.
No. Mm-mm.
Well, what else? What else? I mean, what else would you say about the movie? Well,
I was thinking about it today.
Oh, that's good.
Think about what I would say about this movie, and I was trying to think of other British comedies that I enjoy and how this is different than that, and how I didn't connect with it. I don't know. I feel like when I think about the show Fleabag, it's also very tragic, but also a comedy.
Right. That's interesting.
But I connected more with that than the movie.
Well, Fleabag also has a female protagonist, and
right. And then I was thinking about it, like, the movie had absolutely no female characters.
None.
Well, except for the farmer's mother
and the proprietor. The women are very peripheral in this movie.
Yeah, maybe that's what part of the reason why I didn't connect with it. I don't know. It's interesting.
Now, do you think that is a shortcoming of this film, that it doesn't have any female characters in it?
I mean, I don't want to say that. I mean...
Well, you can. This is your show. You can say whatever you want. It's Elizaviews. You can say whatever you want. You don't have to say things that are politically correct.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of it is that I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Right. Maybe I should have put on the subtitles.
Maybe that would have helped. I don't know.
As people get older, I've heard that older audiences like to watch movies with subtitles on in case they're hard of hearing. But if an English accent is challenging, I mean, I'm not making fun of you.
No, and I love, like I said, I love so many British comedies and even British shows. We watch a lot of British shows.
We do watch a lot of British shows.
For some reason, I had a hard time understanding this movie.
Malbrained says something great. What did you make of Withnail's Hamlet at the end? The 60s and Shakespeare have never been so funny, murky, and sad. Well, you know what's funny? At the end, I think that it shows that he had potential. You know, I thought, yes, it's ridiculous, but it's funny that he was a guy. By the way, the character that Withnail is based on also never achieved success as an actor. But I think that I don't know if this is the right reading of the end of the movie, but I felt that he's so not applying himself in any way, shape, or form to his life. He thinks he's one of these characters, these great characters that I love. You know, whether it's Tilting at Windmills or whatever, that I don't know if you felt this way, that the character is so self-aggrandizing and he's so full of himself that he'll never he's incapable of doing what he needs to do to actually succeed.
Right. It's a handicap.
It's a handicap. But I think that if the tragedy is that if he did apply himself, that maybe he could be successful. There's a glimmer in there. And that's why it's sad kind of at the end. It would be
hard for him to grasp that, I think. I mean, you know, he's so used to getting what he wants. It'd be hard for him to even understand what that means.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And I know so many people like that.
Well, that's why it's so... I think everybody, in a way, kind of knows a Withnail.
Yeah.
Everybody has something like that in their minds. That's a great question, Malbrained. I think that's great. And I you know, when you say that the 60s and Shakespeare have never been so funny, murky, and sad, you know, in a way, I could have seen... I mean, Shakespeare did touch on some of those themes of in a way, and a lot of great theater, a lot of great stories have these kinds of characters that they're never going to succeed. You know, but you appreciate you appreciate them anyway. I mean, that's what makes them tragic and sad. But that's interesting. The 60s. It's funny that you say the 60s have never been so funny, murky, and sad, because when you think of swinging London, and you know, I've always wanted being in London in the late 60s is always something that was appealing to me. You know, when I watch Julian Temple's Absolute Beginners or something, I'm like, I want to live in the London, not the Austin Powers London, but, you know, the real swinging London with the music and the art. Look, if you haven't seen Antonioni's Blow Up, I want to live in that London, which is pretty much concurrent with Withnail and I's London. Remember when I showed you Blow Up? You probably don't remember that.
What's it about?
The fashion photographer who thinks he took a picture of a murder in London.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I'm a huge Antonioni fan.
When did that come out?
I want to say Blow Up came out let's check. 60. Hang on, let's see. Scott Mance would not be happy with me right now.
No, he wouldn't.
Blow Up. blow up. Let's see, release date. Let's see. 1966. See, I was going to say 67. I didn't realize it was that early. Yeah. There you go. I have a beautiful blow up poster. Yeah. French poster that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
One of those things that needs to get linen backed because it is beautiful.
One of the 100.
Kyle Newman wanted to buy it from me at one point. Would you like some more wine?
I'm good.
You're good?
Well, I mean...
Oh, well, I'm going to have some more wine. We want your finest ales. We want them now. So yes. So what else can you tell me about your experience of this particular movie? I mean, do you think it has anything to say about today? Like for audiences of today, do you think that...
Well, I think people that age probably experience similar experiences. Like, you know, when you're first starting out and you're with your friends and you're hanging out and you're living in a dump and you're not cleaning up after yourself and one of your friends succeeds and you don't, you know. I'm sure that's pretty much a lot of people's experience.
What if you're a mother? What would you say if Withnail was your kid?
Oh, geez. Wow.
Like,
well, I mean, everyone needs to go through their experiences and mess up and you know, they need to experience that and be able to grow from those things.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, at the end of the movie, when Paul McGann gets the job and leaves, I see that as it's sad for Withnail, but it's happy for. I mean, it's
right.
So how do you feel? What note does this movie end on for you? Do you find it to be a sad note, or is there one of hope?
It is sad. It is sad because like the one succeeds and the other doesn't. It's kind of sad.
Well, but I mean, is it sort of? It is definitely sad. I think it's sad. But, I mean, is there an element of hope to it? The fact that I succeeded? You know, that Paul...
Well, sure, for him. I mean, what happens to Withnail? I mean, what happens to him after that? He just keeps, like, fumbling around?
I don't know. What do you think?
But then does he, like, go back to his rich family and... I don't know. What happens to him?
Well, I mean, I think even Monty's going to be pissed that he couldn't deliver... to Monty. Poor Monty didn't get what he wanted out of it all.
Oh, Monty will be fine. I mean, he has his cat that he despises.
What do you think of that relationship between Monty and the cat?
Well, I didn't understand it. Like, why is he, like, so mad at this cat? Poor kitty. Like, what? I didn't understand.
Well, you know, it's something you don't necessarily have to understand. You know, you don't have to. But now, when you look at movies like this, do you think a movie like Withnail and I could get made today?
No.
Why not?
I don't think people today have the patience to watch that kind of movie and enjoy it and find value in it. There's not enough action. There's not enough going on. I don't think today, if you remade a movie like that, would be very successful.
Well, not remake it, but something like this. Look, I think now let me ask you this. I still watching this movie again last night. I've probably seen this movie 20 times.
Wow.
I've probably seen it 20 times. Well, look, you heard people on that documentary say they've watched it 100 times.
Yeah, and I was trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that understand.
I get it. Like for me, watching Breakfast Club over and over and over again was something I did as a teenager. I could see how this could be a cult classic for British people. I just didn't connect with it because I didn't grow up in that culture, but I definitely watched Breakfast Club over and over and over again.
So you're equating Withnail and I Breakfast Club?
No, I'm saying, like, I can understand how for that culture this would be a cult classic.
Right. Well, look, I think this is an incredibly British movie.
Right.
It's a very specific kind of a British movie, but that's maybe why I love it so much. I mean, I feel like it's a glimpse into an alien culture that I'll never be a part of. I'll never quite understand, but I like it.
Yeah, but there are other British films that I feel like I could get more into that culture. Like I said, like Death at a Funeral. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious, and it's very British. I don't know.
No, I know. I know, but I just think that to me, it's working class. This doesn't seem like a movie to me. You know, this is more of, in a way, it's kind of like a documentary crew is following these guys around, and you're just seeing it's so slice of life.
It is.
It's so even though it's not, because his performance is highly stylized, the script is highly stylized, and as Bruce Robinson said in the documentary, this is like a number of years, like with Free Enterprise. Maybe I didn't realize it that I had, I guess because Beware the Ides of March, but there is a lot of Withnail and I. I was unaware of that, but now that I think about it, that slice of life.
Well, it subconsciously influenced you.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've always liked this movie, and it's funny because I've tried to show this movie to so many people, and no one has ever.
Nobody likes it?
No, I have not shown this movie.
Well, but all the reviews, like if you look on IMDb, it's like got a really high rating.
And
I was like looking through the reviews, and I was trying to find like people that I could relate to.
I mean, I know a Hollywood.
It seemed to be the Americans that were.
I know a Hollywood producer, my friend Adrienne Biddle. She, when I first met her and went to her house, she has a gigantic Withnail and I poster hanging up in her guest bedroom. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God. Because people just, why do you think Americans don't like this movie? They don't, many Americans, not all, because some people like it, many Americans just don't connect at all with this film.
It's very cultural. It's like very pertinent to the...
Pertinent. I know.
To the British culture. I mean,
She pre-gamed this show, by the way.
I did pre-game. I pre-gamed.
She pre-gamed.
Because he threw this movie at me. And I was like, well, how do
She was nervous about it.
How do I talk about this movie? I'm not connecting with it. So I pre-gamed.
Well, I could have made you watch Body Melt again.
Wow.
I know. Terrible. You know what? She doesn't like Hunt for Red October. So I was thinking maybe
Wait a second.
You don't like Hunt for Red October?
I don't like watching it over and over and over again.
You've never even, no.
Yes, I have. I've watched the entire movie. I watched it with my dad.
You said it was boring.
Yes. After the third, fourth, fifth time, it's
it never gets boring.
Seriously? Do we have to watch this again?
No, we don't have to watch it. Okay. I mean, what's interesting is it's not just me anymore, people can throw out ideas to us.
To watch Hunt for Red October?
No, what other movies they think we should watch?
Well, what do people think we should watch?
Somebody asked us to watch Life Force today.
What's Life Force?
See, there you go. I hear you. This is like catnip to me. What's Life Force?
Is it something I would like?
I think you'd like Life Force.
Okay, let's watch Life Force.
We will watch Life Force. I don't know if we should watch it next. Because I feel like we're watching movies like Withnail and I and Videodrome. That's starting us, if we're going to keep people coming back and watching this show.
I didn't hate Videodrome.
I know you didn't hate Videodrome.
And I didn't hate this movie, but I didn't love it.
Well, you don't have to love everything.
No, exactly.
Well, we have to finish this bottle of wine.
Oh.
I still got a lot, but here, I'll take more then. And why don't you kill the bottle? I'll kill this little bit of there you go.
Oh.
Because this show's only supposed to be an hour long, and we're coming up on our hour.
I think there's another super chat.
No.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we got that.
Okay, good.
Hey, no, we're good. Cheers. I've been watching. I'm trying to pay attention. What do you guys
think we should watch next?
I don't know. What should people watch? Well, I'm sure they'll send us in.
I think I should pick the next movie.
But that's the whole point of the show is that I'm supposed to pick movies that you haven't seen.
But there are movies that you haven't seen.
But if you pick movies that you know, I'll know. I might not have seen them, but it's more fun to watch you talk about them.
But it'd be great to talk about a film that you've never seen.
Yeah, but what is that? Sound of Music?
Sound of Music.
Yeah, we'll do that later. 30,000 subs.
There are other movies that you have not seen.
Well, I'm telling you, I think Life Force could be kind of fun.
Life Force, what is it about?
Well, Life Force is about a 50-mile-long spaceship that is full of space vampires that's in the coma of Halley's Comet. And they get loose on Earth, sort of. Patrick Stewart's in it. And he has,
Really?
yes, he has his first on-screen kiss ever with a dude he's stealing his life force. And it's all kinds of crazy.
Is it like that Swedish movie we watched?
Anaria?
Oh my god.
That movie is so good.
That was so hard to watch.
But it's so good. And it has such a beautifully poetic ending.
Oh man.
Bill
That
Hunt
was
just
so
watched it.
depressing. I literally was like
That's not true. You were not that way.
yeah, seriously. That was so depressing.
But it was kind of uplifting in a way.
No. In what way?
Well, the fact that it was about the beauty ultimately of the cosmos. That human life is transitory, but the cosmos is eternal.
No, that was very depressing.
I love the end, like
Very
5,000 years.
depressing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty depressing. Well,
Yeah.
that movie, I was cringing because I knew what was going on.
Oh my God,
The poor
it
people
was-
didn't quite get what's going on. Remember, I was going, oh my God, when we first watched it.
Was that streaming on what was
Yeah,
it?
we watched it. I think it was on Hulu or something. I got to get the Blu-ray of that.
Oh yeah.
I think
well,
Bill
if
Hunt-
you want to slit your wrists, watch that movie.
No, Nari is it's great. It's it's based on like a poem, a Swedish poem.
Whew.
It's no, I think it's really really good. So Life Force, oh, you spilled a little. That's good. You're doing it live on the. It's good. It's fantastic. So I don't know. So like, okay, let me ask you this: we continue on. We're gonna do the next. We're gonna do 3 of these a week. We'll be here on Wednesday and Friday. Should we change it up? Do you have a specific request? Because I'm not gonna let you pick movies yet. So what kind of movie would you like to see next for our next episode? Give the folks on YouTube
I mean,
a
I'm open
preview.
to anything. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We've watched 2 older movies now. Maybe something a little.
More contemporary.
Yeah.
We watched Videodrome was 83. Withnail and I was 86.
Okay, we've been in the 80s, and I love the 80s. I grew up in the 80s.
Me too.
I don't know.
Well, like what kind of? Give me a genre.
I love everything. Like,
Well, I know. So, do you want to watch? Are you saying you want to watch a movie in the 90s or the 2000s, or do you want to
Sure.
go? Do you want to go way back?
I
Watch-
love way back. I mean,
We could watch a noir, like I don't know, This Gun for Hire or Double Indemnity or something, or we could watch a musical, or we could watch.
I love musicals.
Well, do you have an idea?
Like Sound of Music.
Oh man, no.
But I love all musicals.
All right, well, we can see. We can see.
Okay.
We'll see what people say. We haven't even finished our glasses of wine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our hour with you. It is the end of whining about the movies. Our movie was, of course, Bruce Robinson's 1986 Withnail and I. If people want to find you on social media, Elizabeth, where are you?
Okay, on Instagram.
People want to see your artwork. Where can they find you?
On Instagram, I am EG Bell, Belle. And on Facebook, I'm Elizabeth Bell. And what else?
Are you on Twitter?
Twitter, I am Elizabeth Bell. And that's about it, right?
Spelled out.
Yeah.
Where can people see your artwork? Do you have a website?
I do not.
Oh,
Mostly on my Instagram, I would say.
Instagram, but they can see your work there.
Yes.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring an end to this, our second episode of Whining About the Movies, brought to you by the Burnett Work. I am, of course, Robert Meyer Burnett, bringing you Elizaviews. This is Elizabeth Gwendolyn Bell, and we will be back on Wednesday night with a look at another movie. A movie that I don't know what that's going to be yet. Maybe it'll be Life Force, maybe it'll be Double Indemnity. Who knows?
Maybe I'll choose.
But if you like these chats, please subscribe. Please hit like. Please send us what you think. You can find me, of course, on social media. All of you know where to find me. If you have suggestions for the show, please send them in. And we're happy to have you here. And thanks for all the support. You can also write letters to Elizaviews or whining about the movies at theburnettwork.net, and we will read them on the air. So if you have any letters to send us, please do so. Any suggestions for the channel, we are happy to do that. Now, do you have some pithy way to take us out? Like I always say, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell, but that's not this show. Do you have some kind of philosophical, artistic statement that you can make? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I mean,
I'll have to come up with something.
Yeah, you should, because it is your show. Like, how would you, if you had to tell people what Elizaviews, what does it mean to you? What is it all about? Like, what how do you look at the world?
Wow. I
know that's not exactly something you throw at somebody without, like, there's no preamble there.
Well, I love whimsy, so if you're whimsical...
your artwork reflects that, too.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. Mm-hmm. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings an end to the second episode, and we were drinking tonight. How do you say this?
Fleur de la Prairie.
There you go, and we got that at Trader Joe's, and it was $13, I think.
Yeah, it was very good.
A $13 bottle of wine.
Not too sweet. Very good.
And I want to thank you all for being here, and we will, of course, be back on Wednesday night with another film. And I hope to see you here. And as we are socially distanced, we're not socially distanced from the movies. And isn't that wonderful? Have a great night.